And Debbie, can I bring you in here because you also picked up on this? We have been warning about this massive takeover of the NHS for many years, in fact, but particularly, we'll say, over recent years. And now this is coming to fruition. This country is being destroyed, and we are simply guinea pigs for the global pharmaceutical cabal.
Yes, good afternoon, and lovely to be here on a Monday. It's not Friday, it is a Monday. And yeah, the health is big money. And as you've rightly said, the NHS is unique to the United Kingdom. We have the biggest research database in the world, and we can't get out of the NHS, don't forget. We cannot opt out. We can opt out of sharing our data, but we can't opt out. So yes, the newspapers have been full of it this week, this weekend. They've been talking about the UK-US trade deal and what assets do we have? Well, of course, we've got the City of London, we've got academia, we've got the NHS, but more so, we've got us. So let's go back and look at data, because I've been talking about data for ages. And NHS Digital here, public attitudes to data in the NHS and social care. So let's go and look at the graph, because the NHS, of course, is a treasure. It's the treasure to the UK, according to what the media put out, but they are the most trusted organisation, 73%. And then in universities, second most trusted. And then staggering, pharmaceutical companies are third. Do you believe that data? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, let's go to the UK government, where apparently we are going to be taking a leaf out of Make America Great Again. So we're going to try and make Britain great again. But at what cost? So I want to take you to this, the website. It's exactly will be down just for a couple of days. And I'm wondering actually what differences they're going to be making, because we lead the way on life sciences. We've been reporting on this. Ben's been reporting on it for ages. But let's not forget that the NHS was actually created by David Rockefeller and William Beveridge in the Second World War. But now we are the global hub, and this is an industry that's worth 94 billion. So let's go into the opportunity highlights for the UK in this document from UK.gov. So a few statistics, 5,600 life science companies are already operating in the UK, with 25 global pharmaceutical companies already operating in the UK and 30 global medical tech companies. And that accounts for 300,000 are employed in this industry. And we appear to be the UK hub for global talent because of academia. And the UK generated 108.1 billion turnover in the year ending 2022. And pharmaceuticals was responsible for 26.1 billion at the end of 2023. So this is big money. But let's look at the commercial maturity. That might sound a bit gobbledygook, but actually what it means is that the UK's got more biotech products than any other country in Europe. The turnover is 80 billion. We export 30 billion. And of course, the NHS is a major purchaser, and they're looking at our regulatory framework as well. Well, I've got news for the world. It's not fit for purpose. So this is literally, I'm going to be scraping the iceberg here because we are going to talk more about this in extra. So look at the Financial Times headline here. UK studies pricing plan for selling NHS patient data. That's interesting, isn't it? And then when we go back to 2019 and look at what the BBC were reporting, we can see here that Trump is hinting at US companies running the NHS services. Well, we already know that we've got Centene and Priory already in our NHS. But I want to take you back to a little video of, actually, it was Theresa May and Boris Johnson on stage talking about the NHS. I'm hoping we've got the right video. Brian, I'll hand you over for the video.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, this should be the right video. Let's see what happens.
I don't know Jeremy Corbyn, never met him, never spoke to him. He wanted to meet today or tomorrow, and I decided that I would not do that. I think that he is, from where I come from, somewhat of a negative force. I think that people should look to do things correctly as opposed to criticize. I really don't like critics as much as I like and respect people that get things done.
Jeremy Corbyn's office confirmed there had been a request for a working meeting with the president. The President gushed praise at Theresa May and said Brexit would and should happen, even though Theresa May couldn't get her Brexit divorce deal through Parliament.
That deal is teed up. I think that deal is really teed up. I think they have to do something, and perhaps you won't be given the credit that you deserve if they do something, but I think you deserve a lot of credit. I really do. I think you deserve a lot of credit.
Do you agree with your ambassador that the entire economy needs to be on the table in a future trade talk, a trade deal, including the NHS?
I think we're going to have a great trade deal, yes. I think we're going to have a great and very comprehensive trade deal.
With the NHS?
The President didn't quite hear.
Should the NHS be on the table, sir?
I can't hear him. What?
It's the National Health Service. He says, should the National Health Service be on the table?
She probably wished she hadn't helped.
Look, I think everything with the trade deal is on the table. When you're dealing in trade, everything's on the table. So NHS or anything else, or a lot more than that. But everything will be on the table, absolutely. Okay.
But the point about making trade deals is, of course, that both sides negotiate and come to an agreement about what should or should not be in that trade deal.
Not how he sees it, and it prompted an instant tweet from one of those trying to succeed Theresa May. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, said, "The NHS isn't on the table in trade talks and never will be, not on my watch."
And there you have it. But the NHS is on the table. It very much is on the table. So let's go and have a look at who bankrolled President Trump's campaign. Well, none other than Peter Thiel of Palantir and PayPal. Who else could you say? But it wasn't just Peter Thiel. Who else bankrolled his campaign? Well, it seems as though Pfizer and Big Pharma. And we'll be talking a bit more about this in Extra because they had a cosy little meeting just before Christmas. And I'll be telling you who was at that meeting. But let's go back to data and Palantir. So let's go to the World Economic Forum. There's their page. As we know, Palantir have got connections with Mossad, CIA, DARPA, military contracts, even our own, and I think the Met Police. But again, we'll come back and talk about that in Extra. But crucially, we know that Palantir is embedded in our health system. And here's the page for Palantir. For healthcare, they've got a massive contract to run the NHS Federated Data Platform, a private company in charge of your data. And then we'll go and look at the British Medical Journal, who say that Palantir is really strengthening their hold on the NHS and on NHS patient data. In fact, it's calling it a military company. It says, it's even mentioning there the Ukrainian army. So my question is, have we militarized and weaponized the NHS? Is the NHS the golden egg, do you think, for life sciences and for the UK? And it really brings me back to the NHS app, because this is where all of your data is going, the NHS app. Please consider scrapping the app. And if people are asking you to use apps, just say what I say, which is, I have no access to internet. It quickly closes them down. Over to you, Brian.
Debbie, thank you very much for that excellent segment. I'm just going to say, people need to think what is happening here. Our personal data, medical data, us, our parents, our family, our grandchildren, is being sold on the international stage as if it means nothing. This is data for a whole nation. There is no other country in the world that has this level of information. I'll bring you back in 2 seconds, Debbie. Basically, this is complete betrayal of the nation. And the wonderful NHS workers, dedicated people who are desperately trying to do their job and can't understand why they see the NHS in such a tragic state of collapse. This is calculated policy by the British government. It's across the Conservatives, it's across the Labour Party, because this is international policy. And we, the nation, the people of UK, are being used as simply assets, animals to be sold on the world stage. Debbie, bring you back.
Thanks, Brian. Farmed. And yeah, just one more point. You'll have noticed probably that pharmaceutical companies, their shares have been plummeting, and prices of drugs in America are very high. And the American population don't like the pricing of the drugs. And the NHS, they want cheap drugs. So you can see we'll talk more about it in Extra, but pharmaceutical pricing is also a big deal in all of this.
Debbie, thank you very much. We're going to do more on this subject in extra time, but there's going to be a lot more in the coming days and weeks because this is absolutely critical. This is a massive attack by our own government on the people in this country.